Welcome gamers, Hazzador here, and today I'm going to give you my opinion on the best defensive team setup when playing Overwatch. The first hero you need on your team is a Junkrat. This hero is very easy to master, and once you have him mastered, you can provide a constant barrage of grenades, mines, traps, and riptides to completely explode the enemy team out from the payload or from a specific camping point or a whole area of the map. You can provide a constant supply of grenades that keep enemies away from a payload. They won't even attack it in certain situations. Especially heroes like Lucio or for example a Genji may stay away from a specific location because you keep firing grenades there. Junkrat is definitely one of the best heroes for keeping enemies off a specific objective, and when defending, that is what your objective is to do. He hasn't got very much health, but that doesn't matter. You can provide so much damage for your team, and if you've got one Junkrat or maybe even two, that can become very overkill and you can just win the game for your team no problem by getting loads of kills on tank heroes, support heroes, offensive heroes. Any sort of heroes will find it very hard to target a Junkrat or counter him who is very good at doing his specific role. The second hero I recommend every defensive team to have is a Mei. This hero is very frustrating to play against simply because she is so good at defending. She can slow the enemy team down with her walls or just freezing enemies in general, and I think she is much better at countering offensive heroes, for example a Reaper, Tracer, Genji, or support heroes like a Mercy or a Lucio. Mei can slow down an enemy team so well, and her super can get enemies jumping off an objective in no time at all. I definitely recommend using Mei while defending because she is so good at her role. If you know what you're doing with Mei, you can really destroy the enemy team by slowing them down so much so they basically don't advance whatsoever. Now just like with the attacking team, you needed a healer on your team, well on the defensive team, you also need a healer. I'd personally recommend having Mercy, but another hero that you could use is a Symmetra. Her teleporter will allow your team to get to the specific point to defend an objective very quickly if they die. But I think Symmetra is quite situational. She is much better when defending the first objective on a map. When you're defending the last objective, for example, there's no point in using her because you spawn rather close to the objective anyway. So I definitely recommend using Mercy on defensive because you can provide so much healing capability to your team. Of course, you can revive them all as well, and you just have an overall much bigger chance to win if you have a Mercy on your team. The next hero that I'd use, which is very characteristic of defending, is Torbjorn. This little guy can be a massive pain to your team, especially heroes that don't take a lot of damage, for example a Mercy or a Genji, because it just locks onto you and there's not much you can do about it. Unless you're sniping them out or you've got someone on your team who is sniping out turrets, these turrets can be an absolute pain to your team, stop and advance, and if you've got one Torbjorn, two, or maybe even more than that on your team, it's basically impossible to win because they can provide so much firepower and they just sit there repairing their turrets again and again. It's just so hard and so frustrating to play against enemy teams who have got good Torbjorn users on their team. The fifth character on a defensive team that I prefer to use is Warhog, or any sort of tank hero in general, to be honest. But I do prefer Warhog because you can hook in enemy healers or enemy offensive heroes that are providing a lot of trouble from the back line on the attacking team. For example, a Soldier 76 who is sitting back and doing a lot of damage, or a Mercy or a Lucio, just hook them in and shotgun them, one shot, one kill. However, if you don't want to use one of these tank heroes, another Torbjorn could also be very helpful to your team, or maybe a Bastion. However, Bastions just don't move at all, they're very stationary, so that leads me to using another Torbjorn, or of course, just a Warhog, to have a tank hero on your team. The sixth hero I'd recommend using on a defensive team is Soldier 76, or whatever offensive hero you prefer using. Even though you are defending, it is very good to have an offensive hero just to give your team that other option. A Reaper, a Pharah, Tracer, Soldier 76, or maybe even a Genji, just to give your team a lot of damage. The attacking team wouldn't really expect you to use someone like Pharah or Tracer when you're defending, so you can really shock the enemy team, get behind your lines, and take out a Reinhardt, or for example a Mercy, who is allowing the attacking team to push forward so much, get behind enemy lines, and stop their attack really quickly with these offensive heroes. But anyway guys, thank you for watching, like, comment, and subscribe for more.